How powerful is Vegito AF? Today, we're finally diving into Vegito AF, possibly the most powerful version of the character. And honestly, I'd even go as far as saying that Vegito AF might be stronger than Vegito God Killer and Vegito Absalon. With that said, let's get started. Before we begin, we need to define which version of Vegito we're talking about. In my opinion, the best way to approach this is by splitting the video into two parts. In this first part, we'll focus on Vegito during the Zyko saga, meaning we'll only go up to Super Saiyan 5. Then in part 2, we'll cover the Cell Boozer saga, where we'll talk about insane forms like Super Saiyan 7, Super Saiyan 8, Super Saiyan 9, and even Super Saiyan 10. So, without wasting any time, how strong would base Vegito be? We already know that a fusion, even in base form, is always stronger than the individuals who make it up. So right off the bat, base Vegito would be far beyond two Super Saiyan 4 fighters. At this level of power, Vegito AF in base would already be strong enough to fight base Zyko. But I don't think he would actually win, because we're talking about a version of Zyko who could absolutely destroy Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. In fact, not even Super Saiyan 4 Goku AF could defeat him, even though Goku's Super Saiyan 4 was infinitely stronger than Vegeta's. Now, base Vegito would be way above both Goku and Vegeta, and if we add the rivalry boost on top of that, his power would become completely insane. Even then, I still think he wouldn't be able to beat Zyko. The gap between them would still be too small. However, Vegito would have a big advantage in one key area: experience. Since he combines both Goku and Vegeta, he would have way more battle IQ and strategy, giving him multiple chances to outplay Zyko. Super Saiyan Vegito. Now let's move on to Super Saiyan. Even here, I don't think Vegito AF would be able to defeat Zyko, and definitely not a hypothetical Super Saiyan Zyko. But just imagine the level of power we're talking about. Vegito AF in Super Saiyan 1 would be equivalent to over 100 Super Saiyan 4 fighters, around 16 million base GT Gokus, about 12.8 billion base Dragon Ball Z Gokus, or roughly 128 million base Dragon Ball Super Gokus. That's how powerful Super Saiyan Vegito AF would be. And keep in mind, this is without even factoring in the rivalry boost. Now imagine if we did. In terms of Dragon Ball Super scaling, this version of Vegito would easily overpower over 100 Super Saiyan Blue fighters. He might not beat Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, but he could likely defeat Ultra Instinct Sign Goku. And remember, this is just Vegito in the Zyko saga. Just wait until you see how strong he gets in the Cell Boozer saga. Now the big question: would Super Saiyan 2 Vegito be able to defeat Zyko? Honestly, I think yes. There would still be a massive gap between Super Saiyan 2 Vegito and Super Saiyan 5, since Super Saiyan 5 Goku AF was infinitely stronger than Zyko. But against base or weaker versions of Zyko, Vegito should take the win. However, if Vegito had to fight Super Saiyan Zyko, he would lose. Just remember, Super Saiyan 5 Zyko could fight Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta AF, so yeah, the gap is still huge. Now, what about Eyes? In his second form, Eyes was on the same level as Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta AF and Super Saiyan 4 Gohan AF. That means Super Saiyan 2 Vegito would be infinitely stronger than that. Against third form Eyes, things get more interesting. Only a Super Saiyan 5 was able to defeat him, but just like before, Super Saiyan 5 massively outscaled him. So in a fight between Super Saiyan 2 Vegito and third form Eyes, it would be much closer, with a slight edge going to Vegito. However, if Eyes had a golden form like Frieza, Vegito would get completely destroyed. Now let's talk about Super Saiyan 3. At this point, Vegito would finally be strong enough to defeat a hypothetical Super Saiyan Zyko, and he would absolutely dominate third form eyes, being around 4 times stronger. In Dragon Ball Super scaling, Super Saiyan 3 Vegito would surpass Ultra Instinct Sign by a large margin. In fact, he'd be very close to mastered Ultra Instinct. Even so, he still wouldn't be able to beat a modern fusion in base form, which would have more than double his power. Even so, Super Saiyan 3 Vegito would be one of the strongest characters in Dragon Ball Super. He would easily wipe out every fighter in the Tournament of Power. The only one who could put up a fight would be Jiren, but even then, Vegito would win. Against Broly, Vegito would come out on top, even surpassing Gogeta Blue from the movie. Against Moro, Vegito would win as well. Since Goku defeated Moro with Ultra Instinct and Super Saiyan 3 Vegito is on a similar level, he should be able to do the same. Against Gas, things get much harder, but thanks to his experience, I still think Vegito could pull off the win. At this point, it's undeniable. Even using just the basic Super Saiyan forms, Vegito AF is an absolute monster in both Dragon Ball AF and Dragon Ball Super. Now, let's move on to Super Saiyan 4. How strong would Vegito AF be in this form? Could he reach Super Saiyan 5 level? Honestly, I think he would be very close, but Super Saiyan 5 would still have the clear advantage, especially because of its abilities. If they fought, I'd give Super Saiyan 5 Goku AF a 90% chance of winning. And here's why. Super Saiyan 5 has some broken abilities, like adapting to any opponent or technique, as long as the gap isn't massive. Insane durability, basically a tank. Infinite stamina, extremely high vitality, and most importantly, the ability to continuously grow stronger over time. Because of this, even if Super Saiyan 4 Vegito starts at a similar level, he would eventually get completely overwhelmed by Super Saiyan 5. Still, Vegito would be able to replicate most Super Saiyan 5 feats, like defeating early Dragon Ball AF villains with ease. With only 2 exceptions, Evil Goku Super Saiyan 5, because he's also a Super Saiyan 5, and Carrot, who is even stronger than Super Saiyan 5. Against both of them, Vegito would lose.
Super Saiyan 5 Vegito. Now let's talk about Super Saiyan 5 Vegito AF. At this level, Vegito would absolutely wipe the floor with the first major villains of Dragon Ball AF, including Super Saiyan 5 Broly, Super Saiyan 5 Evil Goku, Carrot, Eyes, and Zyko. The only exception here would be Angel Z. I think Vegito would be slightly below him in raw power. However, with the right strategy, Vegito could still pull off a win. That said, Super Saiyan 6 would definitely be a much safer option if he really wanted to defeat Angel Z. Now let's scale Super Saiyan 5 Vegito in Dragon Ball Heroes. At this point, he would defeat Xeno Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker, defeat Gogeta Blue Evolution, completely dominate Xeno Goku and Xeno Vegeta, both in Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker, and even surpass CC Goku with Mastered Ultra Instinct. I'd even argue he could defeat Fu powered by the Universe Tree, but he still wouldn't be able to beat a universal Super Saiyan Blue level fighter. Now moving on to Dragon Ball Super scaling. At this level, Vegito would easily defeat both Goku and Vegeta, even with their current techniques. He would also overpower basically every top-tier Z fighter. In fact, he could even surpass a modern fusion using Super Saiyan Blue. And yes, I also believe he could defeat every major Dragon Ball Super villain, including Black Frieza and Cell Max. Now, I know some people will say, we don't know how strong Black Frieza really is yet. And that's true. All we know is that he one-shotted Goku and Vegeta. But honestly, I think Vegito AF could do the exact same thing. Super Saiyan 6 Vegito. From this point on, we'll be using Vegito from the Cell Buzzer saga, since this is where he can theoretically reach forms like Super Saiyan 9 and Super Saiyan 10. Let's start by defining his base power in this saga. Base Vegito here would already be far beyond 2 Super Saiyan 8 fighters. Now, some of you might be wondering, why Super Saiyan 8 and not 9, if Super Saiyan 9 is technically the strongest form? Here's the reason. In Goku's case, he never truly masters Super Saiyan 9, so it's not really his own power, it's more like borrowed power. The story itself supports this, since during the Demiyari saga, Goku mentions that his Super Saiyan 9 power was already running out because he never fully mastered it. Vegeta, on the other hand, does master Super Saiyan 9 and can even use it at full power, but that happens much later, so it doesn't apply to this version of the story. Because of that, for this video, we'll treat Super Saiyan 8 as the peak power for both Goku and Vegeta. Now, we also have to consider the rivalry boost from fusion, but at these insane power levels, that boost becomes almost irrelevant. Let me explain with a simple example. If Gogeta Super Saiyan 9 had a power level of 1 quadrillion, Vegito Super Saiyan 9 would be something like 1 quadrillion and 1. At that scale, the difference is basically meaningless. However, earlier in Dragon Ball AF, the rivalry boost does matter a lot. For example, if base Gogeta had a power level of 5, base Vegeta would also be 5, but with the rivalry boost, Vegito might jump to something like 7. So early on, that boost is huge. Later on, not so much. And just to be clear, those numbers are only examples. Now, base Vegito in the Cell Buzzer saga would already be strong enough to easily defeat Super Saiyan 7 Infernal Evil Goku, kidnapped at 100% power. In Dragon Ball Super scaling, base Vegito would be powerful enough to defeat Gogeta using Universal Super Saiyan Blue. Yes, base Vegito AF would already reach that level. I also believe he could surpass all angels, including Kusu. Now imagine him using Super Saiyan or even Super Saiyan 3. At that point, he would be one of the strongest beings in Dragon Ball Super, only below the Grand Priest, Daishinkan. With Super Saiyan 3, however, I still don't think Vegito could surpass Super Saiyan 9. He would only be around 800 times stronger than Super Saiyan 8, and the gap between Super Saiyan 8 and 9 is likely much bigger than that. Because of that, Vegito still wouldn't be able to defeat Super Saiyan 5 Zyko, first form Cell Buzzer. Now let's move on to Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. At this level, I think Vegito would barely be able to defeat Super Saiyan 3 Zyko, and even then it would be a very difficult fight. In Dragon Ball Super scaling, Super Saiyan 4 Vegito would easily overpower all angels. But now, let's get into the real insanity. Super Saiyan 5 Vegito Cell Buzzer Saga. At this point, Vegito's power increase would be so massive that he could completely dominate a modern Gogeta using universal power, plus the combined techniques of Gogeta and Vegito. Finally, we reach Super Saiyan 6 Vegito. At this level, Vegito would be strong enough to give Super Saiyan 5 Zyko a serious fight, although he still wouldn't reach the level of Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta. Even so, he could replicate most of Gogeta's feats. In fact, in a hypothetical scenario where Zyko had already fought Super Saiyan 8 Goku, Super Saiyan 8 Vegeta, and then Super Saiyan 6 Vegito, there's a real chance Vegito could actually defeat Super Saiyan 5 Zyko, since Zyko would already be exhausted and weakened. Of course, that would make the fight much longer, and time was just what Goku and Vegeta didn't have in the original story. Now, against first form Cell Buzzer, Super Saiyan 6 Vegito would also put up a great fight, but he would still lose, and actually he would lose faster than Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta. So how strong would Super Saiyan 6 Vegito be in Dragon Ball Super? Could he defeat the Grand Priest? Honestly, I think yes. If Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta could defeat him with some difficulty, then Super Saiyan 6 Vegito should also be able to pull it off, but with much more effort. Because of that, it's very possible that at this point, Vegito AF could even surpass Vegito God Killer.
Super Saiyan 7 Vegito. Now let's talk about Super Saiyan 7 Vegito AF. At this level, Vegeta would finally be able to defeat Super Saiyan 5 Zyko, essentially replicating Gogeta's feat, but doing it a bit more easily. However, keep in mind, Zyko was already heavily weakened in that fight. So in a scenario where Super Saiyan 5 Zyko is at full power, Vegito Super Saiyan 7 would still lose. Because of that, the gap between Super Saiyan 7 Vegito and Super Saiyan 9 is still massive, and this really puts into perspective just how huge the jump from Super Saiyan 8 to Super Saiyan 9 actually is, especially considering that base Vegito is already above two Super Saiyan 8 fighters. Yet, somehow, there are still people who think Super transformations scale the same way as AF transformations. Now, in Dragon Ball Super scaling, I believe Super Saiyan 7 Vegito would also be able to defeat the Grand Priest relatively easily. Of course, that's assuming the Grand Priest doesn't have a hidden full power form. If he does, then Vegeta would lose. Super Saiyan 8 Vegito. Now imagine Vegito reaching Super Saiyan 8. At this point, I believe Vegeta would finally be able to defeat Super Saiyan 5 Zyko at full power, or at the very least, match him. He would also have enough power to defeat First Form Cell Boozer, although he'd still be slightly below Super Saiyan 9. Even so, the gap would now be much smaller. That being said, if he fought the Grand Priest in his true form, Vegito would still lose, and by a lot. What do you guys think? How strong do you think Super Saiyan 8 Vegito would be? We're getting close to the end of the video, so if you're enjoying it, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment. It really helps the channel. Now, how strong is Super Saiyan 9 Vegito? Would he be able to defeat Third Form Cell Boozer? Honestly, I think that feat would only be possible for full power Super Saiyan 9 Vegito. Regular Super Saiyan 9 Vegito would likely only be able to defeat the second form of the villain fusion. Now, against the Grand Priest, Super Saiyan 9 Vegito wouldn't just win, he would absolutely destroy him and even come close to matching his true form. And of course, full power Super Saiyan 9 Vegito would completely overpower both versions of the Grand Priest. Now here's an interesting question. Who would win in a fight between Super Saiyan 9 Vegito and Mystic Gogeta 3? It really depends on which version of Gogeta we're using, but to keep things simple, let's take a hypothetical Gogeta from the Demi-Yari saga. I'd lean slightly toward Gogeta. Even though I think Super Saiyan 9 Vegito is overall more powerful, Mystic 3 Gogeta has better control over his power and more experience using it. But what do you think? Who takes the win? Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, Super Saiyan 10 Vegito. How strong is this form? If Super Saiyan 10 Goku AF is already above beings like True Form Xeno, Archon at full power, 100% Zenku, Multiversal Ultra Instinct Goku, then Super Saiyan 10 Vegito would surpass all of them at once and do it with ridiculous ease. The only character who could truly challenge him would be Omnigod Gogeta Phase 3, although I'd still give the edge to Super Saiyan 10 Vegito. Another interesting matchup would be Xeno Arcade Gogeta with Universal Super Saiyan 5. That fight could go either way. So let me ask you, who do you think wins that battle? Now, what about Super Saiyan 10 Vegito versus Super Saiyan 10 Gogeta? And more importantly, do you think the Potara fusion could even handle Super Saiyan 10 for a full minute? Or would Vegito defuse before the fight even begins? To be honest, I think the Potara would stop working somewhere around Super Saiyan 6, which means a fight against Super Saiyan 10 Gogeta might end before it even starts, because Vegito would defuse instantly upon transforming. Because of that, if Vegito wants to use forms like Super Saiyan 9 or Super Saiyan 10, he would need special enhanced Potara earrings, like the ones used by Vegito God Killer. In that scenario, the most realistic outcome would probably be a draw. Both fusions would last around 1 minute, and at that level, the rivalry boost becomes almost irrelevant. So yeah, a draw feels like the fairest result. But without upgraded Potara, Vegito loses. Now, let me clarify something important. Scaling fusion power in Dragon Ball AF is extremely complex. AF transformations are incredibly complex, and it's hard to define what the true maximum power of Gogeta or Vegito really is. Do they cap at Super Saiyan 9, at Super Saiyan 10, or do they automatically inherit every transformation even if it was just unlocked moments before fusion? For example, there are cases like Super Saiyan 7, which uses negative energy. Since that energy doesn't naturally belong to Goku, it might not count as part of his true power. The same logic applies to forms like Super Saiyan 6 and Super Saiyan 9, since those powers come from external sources, like evil Supreme Kais or Zyko. Because of this, it's very possible that the true limit of fusion is actually Super Saiyan 5, since that would be the natural limit of the Saiyan race. This could also explain why Gogeta needed Super Saiyan 7 to fight Zyko, or why even Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta couldn't defeat Cell Boozer. At the end of the day, this all comes down to interpretation. Nobody truly knows how fusion works in AF, and less alone how these transformations actually scale. So take this video for what it is, entertainment, not absolute fact. So, what did you think of the video? I know a lot of you have been asking for a Vegito AF video for almost 2 years now, but hey, better late than never. I hope this video lived up to your expectations. I'm also planning to make a video about mystic Vegeta forms, so if you want to see that soon, make sure to like and share this video. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and help push the video so YouTube recommends it to more people. It really helps the channel. Also, make sure to follow me on all my social media. I'm Imitable Carp, and I'll see you in the next one.